Welcome to Unlocking Your Truth, another podcast by Dr. Lesley Phillips.
Everybody, and welcome to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley. I hope you're all having a great day, and we've got a fabulous show planned for you today. Now, if you are just listening for the very first time, let me explain a little bit about Unlocking Your Truth. And this show is about metaphysics and spirituality. So anything to do with metaphysics and spirituality, we're interested in talking about. My name is Dr. Lesley Phillips. I'm the host, and I am a professional intuitive. So you're welcome to call in today about overcoming blocks to your intuition or anything else that you have a question about. And we sometimes find that if people are a bit shy, you can send your question via email. And the email address to use is info@drlesleyphillips.com. And you spell my name DRLESLEYPHILLIPS. Great, so I'm looking forward to chatting with you all. And as I mentioned today, I thought we could talk about blocks to intuition. And because I had an interesting chat with somebody earlier this week, and they were trying to understand intuition and being psychic, but they were doing it from an intellectual perspective, and it was so difficult for them to understand it from that perspective. So my number one on top 10 ways that people can block their intuition is being stuck in your intellectual mind. Because the intellect actually slows you down. Now, we revere the intellect. We're all trained into our intellect when we go to school. And it is the highest vibration of the physical body. It's the highest aspect of the human body and the human mind is the intellect. But we are not our bodies. We are spirit. And there is so much more to who we are than our intellect. And so the difference between the intellect and spiritual or intuitive information is that intuitive information comes instantaneously. You don't need to figure it out. You don't need to analyze it. You don't need to go through the pros and cons or a stepwise thought pattern and come to some conclusion about what it is you believe or what it is you know. Instead, the information is received as an instantaneous knowing, and you don't question it. You just know that it's true, or you instantly see it, or you instantly hear it. And I find with the work I do that really is the number one block that I deal with in training people to access their intuition, that they get stuck in their intellect, and we have to find ways of helping them to bypass and overcome their intellect. Now, the second one on my list is emotions. And emotions are another aspect of the body. And emotions are good things because they're your body's communication to you, the spiritual being, about how it's dealing with whatever challenges that you're putting it through. So we definitely shouldn't ignore our emotions. However, when you're wanting to operate consciously as spirit, being able to master the emotional levels is really important. Because if you are operating completely from your emotions, and actually a lot of people do, a lot of people are caught up in their emotions most of the time, then what you will do is you will be in a reactive state. You will be in a reactive state, and you will be operating from a body perspective. So Being stuck in your emotions can also keep you away from operating as spirit, and operating as spirit is necessary for you to access your intuitive abilities. My tip number 3, or top 10 ways that people find to block their intuition, is fear. A lot of people are afraid of their intuitive abilities. And the reason that they're afraid varies. So it could be that they're afraid of being punished. Perhaps when they were a kid and they saw or knew things that the adults preferred that they didn't know, that they were punished or criticized in some way. People might be afraid of being judged by others, or being labeled as being crazy if they believe in intuition and if they operate their life from their intuition. And people also can be afraid of seeing or knowing something that they wish they didn't see or know. So sometimes we like to keep ourselves, it can be convenient to be ignorant sometimes, right? But if you tune into your intuition, then you're really forced to look at and acknowledge the truth about what's going on. So sometimes people don't want to see the truth. Number 4 ways in which you can block your intuition. I have expectations. So people who are wanting to develop their intuitive powers often have expectations about exactly what it will be like, exactly what it will look like. Perhaps they believe that they will start to see spirit guides, and the spirit guides will be as clear as looking at another person. Perhaps they believe they've watched some famous mediums on the television and have built a picture about what being intuitive would be like. And when you have expectations of what it is, then you don't allow for your own unique experience. And so having expectations can block you from your own unique experience of your intuition. And it's different for every single person. And it doesn't necessarily mean that, some people might see, other people might hear, other people might know, other people might have a combination of all of those. So it is a completely unique thing. So letting go of expectations and just allowing what unfolds within you to occur is a better way of allowing yourself to receive your intuitive information. Number 5 in top 10 ways to block your intuition, self-limiting beliefs. So you create your reality through your beliefs. Whatever you believe, well, that's what's true for you, and that is what's going to show up in your reality for you. So if you believe, I can't do it, I don't have any intuition, or only special people can do it, you have to be the 7th son of the 7th son born on a Wednesday at midnight in order to have intuition. If you really believe those things, then that will severely limit your ability to access your own intuition. So, are you recognizing any of these things in yourself yet? Maybe you are. Here's some more. Number 6, holding on to your pain and holding on to the past. And we all do this. Every single human being, I haven't met a single human being that doesn't do this. We go through a painful emotional experience, some challenging situation, and what we do is we store the pain in our energy field. And unfortunately, what happens when you store things like pain in your energy field is it acts as a kind of a filter or a curtain that you experience the world through. And it stops you seeing present time reality. It stops you accepting the now exactly as it is. So you will your intuition will have a filter, and the filter will cause you to look at what you're seeing through a veil of pain or past time energy. Now, another thing that can affect being able to access your intuition can be life challenges. And I kind of touched on that a little bit with the previous one. But sometimes life's difficulties can feel so overwhelming. We can think, I'm too busy, I have no time, I have other priorities, other things are important, I've got to put food on the table, I've got to earn a living, I'm rushing around looking after my kids. And so all of those things that keep you busy or that challenge you, you can use as an excuse not to focus on your spiritual side or access your intuition. And in a way, it's counterproductive, because if you could spend the time to tune into your intuition, you might find some solutions more rapidly and more useful ones than if you don't do it. All right, now the next number 8 for blocking your intuition is judgment. So a lot of people out there have heavy, heavy judgments about being psychic or being intuitive. So, it's nonsense. It's ridiculous. You're crazy if you think that that's a real thing. And so, those judgments that other people have or that you've taken on can stop you from accessing your intuition. And also judgments or beliefs around what it means to be psychic. So, well, it's a tarot card reader, or it's somebody who predicts the future. And those are actually very limited views on what it is to be intuitive and how you can use your intuition. So every single human being is intuitive, and no matter what they do for a living, they can channel their intuition into their own projects and things that they are doing. Whether you're a lawyer, whether you're a financial advisor or a nurse or whatever it is, you can use your intuition. I've got 2 more tips, then we're going to go to the break, and then we will be taking your calls. And once again, the studio number is 604-504-7441, extension 4142. And I know that we do have a caller waiting on the line. So if you phone up and the line is engaged, then please just wait a few moments and call back again. So once again, 604-504-7441, extension 4142. So the last 2 ways that people can block their intuition. So lies, believing lies about it. It's evil. It's the work of the devil. It's not in alignment with my religion. I'm a Christian, or I'm a Muslim, or I'm a Hindu, or whatever it is. It's not in alignment with that. There's a lot of people that hold a religious belief that causes them to reject intuition. And then finally, number 10, past life influences. And I see this fairly often, and that is that somebody's fear of using their intuition is because in a past lifetime they've either used their powers inappropriately, or they've been punished for what they did or what they saw in a past life. Whether it's the Salem witch trials, or being stoned for being a witch, or put on the ducking stool or something like that. Those were fairly common experiences back in the day, and a lot of people carry those experiences forward into their current incarnation. And so we need to work on realizing that the circumstances are different, and people are a lot more accepting in general in present time reality. So there you have it, my top 10 ways in which people can block their intuition. everybody, and welcome back to the show. My name's Dr. Lesley Phillips, and this is Unlocking Your Truth. We have our first caller with us. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. Who am I talking to?
This is Najiri calling.
Oh, hello, Najiri. How are you?
Great, thanks.
Wonderful. Do you have a question for me?
I do.
Great.
And this is about energy.
Yeah.
And the question is, how can I maintain my state of positive, powerful, everyday energy, kind of all day, every day, regardless of who I'm with, or where I'm at, and whatever circumstances are in my life?
Wow. Well, that's a great question. And what I'm going to do, Najiri, is I'm going to tune into your energy to answer it so that I give you an answer that's specific for you. So,
Okay.
and if anyone's listening for the first time, this is what I do. I actually go into a very light self-induced trance in order to answer somebody's question. So I'm just doing that now. And that way I can tune into Najiri's energy and I can specifically look at what's going on for her. All right. And so one of the first things that comes up is I'm seeing that sometimes what happens when you are in the company of somebody who, I'm seeing that there are some people that you go into resistance to. You go into resistance to. And when you go into resistance, then there's a few things going on. One is a denial of certain aspects of reality, and the other is that when you go into resistance, you're lowering your frequency. And so, and this is actually a really big, massive question, and I could probably spend the rest of the show talking to you about this. But tip number one for you is let go of resistance. So if you notice yourself feeling in resistance to somebody, it's sort of like that. When we go into resistance, it's usually because we are in denial of an aspect that's in that person that's being mirrored at us because it's also within us. And it's something that we don't want to face. And so there are techniques that you can learn to process those matching energies. And it's a technique that you can use to heal yourself. It's a technique that you can use to evolve yourself spiritually. If every time you meet somebody that you feel in resistance to, you do this technique of releasing your matching pictures with them. So that's the first thing that I was seeing. And the other thing I want to say is that, within your question, there is an expectation that it is possible to all day, every day, completely be in that place of feeling powerful and energized and aligned and bright, and spiritually aware and awake and everything that you are.
Right.
And here's the thing. We are living on planet Earth. And planet Earth is a planet of duality. It's a planet where everything has an opposite. So you're embroiled and embedded in an experience where everywhere around you, everywhere you look, there is an opposite, right? And so in this world, on planet Earth, that's part of the game. Part of the game is that we are constantly balancing opposites, right? And part of the game is that we go to one extreme in order to learn what it's like to be at that extreme, and then the other, and then we're coming back into balance. It's a constant part of the cycle of existence on this planet. So to maintain a steady state of balance all the time is not really possible, and if you did it, you wouldn't really be expanding yourself and you wouldn't really be learning anything. And then the third and final thing that I'll say to your question is the other thing that I'm seeing that is going on a little bit with you is it's the dichotomy of body versus spirit. So you're a spiritual being. You are love, you are light, you are all powerful, you are eternal. And from time to time, we get glimpses. We get glimpses of that experience. Sometimes we can hold that experience for an hour or a day or so on. But again, the truth is, we are in bodies. We are on planet Earth, and we're in bodies. And that body is having a physical experience. And so when we come into contact with the physical body, that can pull us out of that blissful state to deal with the density of physical matter and these opposites that I'm talking about. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is that don't expect that it can always be positive and wonderful all the time, because that's not realistic and it's not part of life on this planet. However, there are techniques that you can use that can help you deal with the dualistic nature of this world, that can help you process feelings of resistance or feelings of emotional pain or fear or whatever is coming up that's pulling you out of that blissful state. And of course, in one word, meditation is a fabulous way to do that. I mean, I have my own favored form of meditation, and one of the things, and I've taught it on this show before, one of the things that I advocate really strongly is learning how to ground. Because if you learn how to ground, that's actually all you need to know to cope with anything that can arise in your life.
Right.
And so I don't know whether you are familiar with grounding. There's several different versions that people teach. One of them is to create a flow of energy from near the base of your spine that goes all the way to the center of the earth. And what that does is twofold. It acts like an anchor, and it helps anchor you, the high vibration spiritual being, into your body, so you can consciously take charge of your life, so that you can wake up and be aware within your body. And number two, it provides you with a conduit for releasing energy. So in the example we were using for you, if you meet somebody and you're resisting them for some reason, you can notice, oh, I'm in resistance. I'm just going to release my resistance down my grounding, and I'm just going to release whatever it is that's triggering my resistance down my grounding. And so it gives you a way to consciously be in charge of whatever it is that's coming up for you, that's pulling you out of that state of being that you're wanting to be in. And so what you can do is you can develop a level of mastery so that you know how to deal with and cope with the things as they arise. So does that answer your question?
It sure does. It sure does. That's exact. That. Wow. I'm really, I meditate and I know of different techniques, but the grounding one is one that I haven't been practicing, and I think for who I am, it's fantastic to start implementing that in my practice. And as you say that, I have heard it before, but I always envisioned I had to be connected with Earth for this to be effective.
You mean physically?
On the ground.
Yeah, a lot of people will say that, you have to take your shoes off and touch the grass with your feet, and that might help your body with the idea of grounding. But no, because grounding, when you're grounding, it's you, the spiritual being, that's grounding. You're doing it energetically. You're working solely with energy. Energy follows thought. You're visualizing or thinking this grounding into being, and the energy flows through physical matter. So it doesn't matter whether you've got 10 pairs of boots on or like 10 pairs of trousers on, or you're sitting on the top of a high-rise building, because the grounding cord will go through all the layers of physical matter between it and the center of the earth, and it'll do it effortlessly. When you're working as spirit, there is no effort. It's just pure energy.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for calling, Najiri. It was really great to talk to you.
You as well. My pleasure. My pleasure. I'm looking forward to continuing to listen in and learn more.
Great. Well, thank you so much. And I guess we'll say goodbye for now. And
yes.
Call in again anytime.
I sure will. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Great, listeners. Well, that was Najiri with a fantastic question about energy management. And, that's something that we all deal with. I know I do myself. It would be wonderful to be in a blissful Zen-like state all the time. But, even the great spiritual masters, really what they're a master of how to live in this world, which, as I mentioned, is a world of duality and a world of opposites, where there are always ups and downs and where there are constant cycles of growth and change. Because this is a place where we are expanding. We're expanding our consciousness. And in that expansion, sometimes it can be painful or feel uncomfortable, because it's a place of getting outside of the box constantly over and over again. All right, so I would love to take another call. And if you're shy, you can email. And the email address is info@drlesleyphillips.com. And I think the producer is going to either put through a call or tell us about an email. Hello?
Hello, Dr. Lesley. I've got an email question that's come in for you.
Great.
And the email question is from Kelly. And Kelly, first she says thank you. She heard you on the Charlotte Spicer show, and she said that was great. So her question is, I'm at a crossroad, and I really want to know my soul's purpose for this lifetime.
Great. All right, Kelly. We will take a look at that for you. And I'm glad you enjoyed hearing me on that other show. All right, so I'm going to do what I did with Najiri, is I'm going to tune into your energy so that I can read you. I'm just doing that now. And I'm going to take a look at you and your life purpose. And you don't say in what way you're at a crossroad. It sounds like you're trying to choose between one thing, one direction and another. But I'm going to take a look. Well, I'm going to answer this in two different ways, because I actually believe that every single human being has more than one life purpose. The first one is one that we all share. And in one simple word, it's enlightenment. Now, there are a lot of misconceptions about what enlightenment is. And what I mean by enlightenment is you, the high vibration spiritual being, coming into your physical body and being consciously awake and aware within your physical body. And so it's what we were just talking about with respect to grounding yourself in, bringing your energy and focus into the here and now. And so when I tuned into your energy, that was the first thing that came up. And interestingly enough, I'm actually seeing you be quite grounded. So if I was to guess, I'd say that you have a meditation practice of some kind, because you do look grounded, and you look like you've been going through a really big growth period about bringing more of your energy and information into your body. And I'm seeing that, so it's put you in a little bit of a state of overwhelm because there are so many possibilities, and of course, as spirit, there's no time and space, so all of these possibilities exist simultaneously. But in the physical body state, yes, you have to choose, because we are limited by time and space. And so I'm seeing that that's what you're faced with, but it actually, rather than it being a bad thing, I'm seeing it looks absolutely fantastic, because you're really, like I said, you're really increasing your energy frequency and your level of awareness and awakeness. So now the second life purpose is what most of us think of when somebody says, what's your life purpose? And that is, what am I here to do? What's my unique contribution to the world, and how can I be of service in the world? So I'm also going to look at that question for you, Kelly, and see what comes up. Well, this is interesting. And of course, I don't know anything about you and I have no background information. I am just going to say what I'm seeing, and we'll see if we can form that into something that makes sense. But I was actually, the symbol I was seeing looked like a fairy tale symbol. It was a little fairy sitting on a toadstool. And, my first thought was, is it something to do with nature and nature spirits? But no, it looks like it's something to do with storytelling and children. So it reminds me of children's fairy stories, Hans Christian Andersen, Alice in Wonderland, and those type of things. And, some of those beautifully illustrated children's books. And so I would say that what's coming up for me with respect to your life purpose is, if there's anything going on in your life that relates to teaching, that relates to children, that relates to writing, in particular children's literature, or storytelling, then I would say all of those things are spot on and related to your life purpose. Now, I'm going to go to another break in a moment, but I'm just going to take another look, see if anything else comes up. Well, the next symbol that comes up is like a Pied Piper type of symbol, which is another children's fairy story. And the image was full of play and interactivity. So again, if we are on the right track here, and like I said, I don't know anything about you, and the more details I know, the more details I can give back. But it looks like what I'd add to what I've said already is sort of play and interactivity. And so I see you somebody who is possibly teaching children through a sense of play and storytelling. So, someone who teaches in... Well, if I think that the conventional way of teaching is like very didactic and, rote learning, it's completely opposite to that. It's teaching and opening young hearts through stories, pictures, interaction. So I really hope, Kelly, that that's given you some direction. If for some reason, it not quite, then do email me at info@drlesleyphillips.com, and I'd be happy for you to give me a bit more information about you so that I can hone it down, although that does seem to be quite detailed, what we came up with there. So now we are going for a break. Once again, this has been Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley. We've been having a fantastic show. We've been talking about intuition and my top 10 reasons that people can't access their intuition, how they block their intuition, and we've had a couple of calls as well. Hello.
Hello, Dr. Lesley. I have another email question somebody just sent in.
Great.
And this is from Sue. And Sue would like to know, or her question is, I have a few prospective jobs I want to pursue in a few months. After I have my baby, I wonder which will be the best one for my family and I. The jobs are administrative assistant, police officer, teaching assistant, which is the best fit for me and will work? And that's her question.
Great, thank you. All right, Sue, let's take a look. Those are very interesting and different jobs. So I'm tuning into Sue's energy right now. I just go into a very light self-induced trance in order to tune out my physical senses and tune in my intuitive senses. So I'm just taking a look, Sue, and I'm going to take a look at the 3 different jobs that you mentioned. So one was an administrative assistant, one was a police officer, and one was a teaching assistant. And out of the 3, the one that looks the brightest is teaching assistant. The one that looks the least interesting is administrative assistant. So I'd sort of put the admin assistant one aside for now, and I'll talk about the teaching assistant and the police officer. So the teaching assistant looks bright and more immediate. And you say that you're about to have a baby, and I can imagine that being a teaching assistant is quite flexible in terms of how many hours a week you work and the days and times that you work. And it looks as though that one at the moment fits in really well with you and your family and your personal circumstances. Being that you're about to welcome a new baby into the world around the same time that you're looking for a new job. Now, I didn't discount the police officer one completely, but like I said, I mean, one of the things I do, listeners, is I do not predict the future. And the reason I don't predict the future is because I believe that we each create our own reality. So if I tell you something that's going to happen in your future, all I'm doing is I'm choosing within a field of probabilities something that might be the most likely thing to occur given the current set of circumstances. So I'm going to try and say the next thing in a way that's not predicting the future, but the police officer one looks like there's potential for you to pursue that, but it doesn't look like a present time thing. It doesn't look like it's a fit with your current family circumstances. But if that is a dream that you have, if that's something that you've been really desiring and wanting to do, I'm certainly not saying let go of that dream. I'm saying that might be something, should you want to create that for yourself, that can unfold for you at a later point in your life. But right now, the teaching assistant job looks like the best fit for you. So I hope that that's helped you, Sue. And that was a quick one, but it was a to-the-point question. So I'm going to let you go now, and I am going to see if we have any more callers. Hello.
Hello, Dr. Lesley. I have another email question for you from Nancy. And Nancy writes in, and she says, I have recently felt a very strong push to awaken and help others to do the same. I feel a sense of urgency. I'm in tune with feelings and can be very sensitive to what is happening with people or in the world. At times, I feel overwhelmed. I struggle with knowing how to do my part in this world. I have been receiving messages. Sometimes they are very clear, other times hazy and confusing. I receive very clear messages or feelings when I least expect it, and then when I ask for guidance or ask a question, I feel resistance. Please give me any advice you can think. Please give me any advice you can think of. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you. So that was a long question, Nancy, and there's a few different parts to it, but it's a great question, and it totally fits in with what we've been talking about this evening. So I'm going to go into trance, I'm going to tune into your energy, and I will give you a response, and I'm probably going to have to break your question down into chunks to do it. So just tuning in to you. All right. So, well, the first thing I want to say is you're saying that you are sensitive on a feeling level. And sometimes you are feeling overwhelmed because of all of the signals that are coming in on a feeling level. So a few weeks back, we did a show on clairsentience. And so I'd encourage you to go into CIVL website and go into the podcasts page. Scroll down to the bottom. On the bottom left is Unlocking Your Truth. There's a big list of shows. But you can click on my show, Unlocking Your Truth, and look at the podcasts. And I think maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, we did an episode on clairsentience. And it would be really great for you to listen to that show, because what you're describing is a clairsentient ability. When you're tuning into feelings, when you're tuning into emotions, when you're really overly sensitive to energy, when you're in the middle of a supermarket and you can't stand it because you feel overwhelmed with all the other energies in there, that's clairsentience. And it's a genuine intuitive ability, receiving intuitive information through feelings and emotions. And there are ways that you can learn to be in control of that. There are ways that you can learn to master it and access it when you want instead of being overwhelmed by it. So, and of course, if you've been listening to the whole show this evening, step number 1 in gaining mastery over any of your intuitive abilities is to ground. So, and also if you look back in the archives, there are at least 2 shows where I talk you through a grounding meditation. So I'd encourage you to go and just surf around in the archives. And then I'm going to take a look at another thing you said is I've been receiving messages. Sometimes they're clear, sometimes they're hazy and confusing. I receive a clear message when I least expect it, and then when I want it, it's you feel in resistance. So I'm going to take a look at what's going on with that. And the answer is, and I think we talked a little bit to Najiri about this, it's to do with body versus spirit. And I'm seeing that you've got a strong body, and your body likes to be in charge of your reality. And I'm seeing that you're able to get clear, intuitive information when you're not focusing on it, when you're not trying to do it, when you least expect it, because the body is kind of disengaged. The body is focusing on something else, and it opens a clearer channel for your intuition to come in. And I'm seeing that when you consciously say, right now I'm going to tune into my intuition and see what I can, information I can get, then the body is on guard and it's like, okay, now we're trying to do this. And so I'm seeing what's happening is that, you've got a little bit of battle between spirit and body. And you're also, when you try to do it, what you're actually doing is you're trying to do it from physical body level perspectives. And intuitive information is a spiritual phenomenon. It doesn't belong to the body. You actually have to move the body out of the way and move the aspects of the body like the intellect and the emotions out of the way in order to receive your intuition. And so, again, the advice that I can give you there, number 1, it's about cultivating a harmonious relationship between your body and you, the spiritual being. And part of that is listening to your own body's emotions and your own body's needs and your own body's desires, and making sure that you're creating your reality in a way that is comfortable and fun for your body, so that you're operating in a partnership rather than opposing sides trying to get control of your life, which is a little bit what's going on at the moment. And of course, gaining mastery over the body levels, meditation is a great way to do that, and there are many techniques that you can layer one on top of another in order to do this, and grounding is the very first one. And there are others as well. And if you want more information, you can email me at info@drlesleyphillips.com. And I'm just going to take a look at, there was another thing that you said, which was feeling a push to wake up and help others to awaken, and feeling a sense of urgency about that. And so I'm going to just take a look at what's going on with respect to that. Well, I have to say that over the last 2 to 3 months, I've been meeting a lot of people that have been feeling like that, and that have been going through major transitions in their lives. So it seems like you're part and parcel of this whole shift that's affecting many of us. But let me look at you in particular. So, yes, and it's like you're in this major transformative space. And one way of saying it is, like I said it already, which is body versus spirit. So, and another way is dark versus light. And I'm seeing that what you're in a place where you're really wanting to align with the light. You're really wanting to align with your higher self, with source energy, to have the force that is directing your life be you. And I'm seeing that it looks like in your life so far, it's not always been that you've been in charge of your life, that there have been other external forces, whether it's other people, whether it's beliefs about what you ought to do, and so on. But I'm seeing that you've not always lived your life in alignment with your higher path. And of course, that's part and parcel of your path, is what is it like when I do it this way, when I'm not in alignment, so you can realize, well, I'd rather do it so that I am in alignment. And so I'm seeing that that's what's going on at the moment. It's sort of like you're reorienting yourself, aligning yourself with God or source energy, whatever your word for that is. And as you do that, you're starting to tune in to your unique life purpose. And I'm seeing that you're becoming aware that part of your life purpose and part of your way of being in service in the world is for you to be somebody who is in some way teaching or in service and helping other people to learn what you have learned. And I'm not seeing, getting a clear sense of exactly how that looks for you, but I'm seeing you're starting to wake up to that. All right, well, Nancy, I hope that has helped you. That's taken us to the end of tonight's show. Listeners, thank you very much for tuning in.
Thank you for joining us. You've been listening to another Unlocking Your Truth podcast by Dr. Lesley Phillips. For more information, go to our website at drlesleyphillips.com. That's drlesleyphillips.com, where you can ask questions or send her an email, and there's many free gifts on there for you as well. Come back again.